right, I'll now bring the regular meeting of Township Council for the purpose of a public hearing and development permits to order. And the first thing I have to do is read the preamble on the agenda. A public hearing is a statutory requirement under Section 464 of the Local Government Act and must be held before third reading of a community plan, rural land use bylaw, zoning bylaw, land use contract amendment bylaw, heritage designation bylaw, or heritage revitalization agreement bylaw, which would change the use or density of use of property. During a public hearing, Council acts in a quasi-judicial role for the purpose of allowing persons who believe their interest in property is affected by a bylaw, permit, or other matter to make representations to Council either orally or by written submission, or add comments or elaborate upon correspondence that may have already been presented to Council concerning the bylaws. It is important to note that Council is not in a position to receive any additional information on the bylaws following the public hearing as dictated by case law. The hearing procedure involves an explanation from the Community Development Division on the purpose of the proposed bylaws and to hear from individuals regarding the bylaws. In order to ensure that all interested parties have a reasonable opportunity to be heard, speakers are requested to keep representations as brief and succinct as possible and no longer than 5 minutes, excluding time required for questions from Council. Speakers will be asked to state their name, neighborhood, and city for the record, and if referring to prepared remarks, to submit copies of these to the Township Clerk. Decorum must be maintained at all times. This includes refraining from applause, booing, or heckling. To assist with large numbers of speakers, individuals must advise the Township Clerk and sign the speakers list prior to the commencement of the public hearing. The names on the speakers list will be read out during the hearing. Individuals who have already addressed Council and wish to add further submissions will wait until the people that have not yet addressed Council have had an opportunity to speak. All submissions and speakers lists are considered part of the public record. Council members should not express their views nor debate the bylaws, but may question speakers to clarify particular points in the submissions. Council may consider third reading and final adoption at this meeting or at its next regular meeting to be held on Monday, January 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Fraser River Presentation Theatre, 4th floor, 20338 65 Avenue, Langley, BC, which is right here. So with that, I will ask for a motion to adopt and receive the agenda items. Councillor Arneson moves. Councillor Ferguson seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. We're not hearing any development permits. We have 3 public hearings tonight, and the first one is official community plan amendment and rezoning application number 100196 and development permit application number 101169, Latimer Properties 197 Limited, bylaw 5755 and bylaw 5756. Mr. Richardson, if you could introduce it, please.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. The subject Latimer Neighborhood Plan Amendment, rezoning, and development permit applications pertain to a proposed development consisting of 84 townhouse units at 7648, 7676, and 7702 197th Street. The 6-acre site is designated multifamily in the Willoughby Community Plan and row house townhouse A in the Latimer Neighborhood Plan. This air photo depicts a site located on the east side of 197th Street, north of 76th Avenue. Proposed Latimer Neighborhood Plan Amendment Bylaw 5755 proposes to increase the permitted height of 3 buildings consisting of 16 units from 2 to 3 stories. Rezoning Bylaw 5756 rezones the subject site from suburban residential SR2 to comprehensive development zone 168 to accommodate the proposal. This slide indicates the proposed site plan with vehicular access to the site from 197th Street. The next series of slides are rendering, elevations, and the landscape plan is indicated in development permit 101169. Staff recommends support of Latimer Neighborhood Plan Amendment Bylaw 5755 and rezoning Bylaw 5756, subject to 8 conditions on Council's agenda and consideration of development permit 10169, subject to 3 conditions starting on page 9 of Council's agenda. Your Worship, a total of 25 notices were mailed out. No written submissions have been received, and there were no individuals noted on the speakers list.
Okay, thank you very much for that. At this point, I'll now ask for submissions from the public regarding public hearing C1, and this is bylaw 5755 and 5756, and development permit application 101169. And for a second time, I'll ask for submissions from the public on public hearing C1, and for a third time, submissions from the public on public hearing C1. Seeing no submissions from the public, then I'll close the public portion of this public hearing. And there were no written submissions, so there's no need for the proponent to do any explanation. So at this point, I'll close the public hearing for C1, and I would ask council if they wish to consider C1 for third reading at this time. Council Long moves. Council Whitmar seconds. So I'm going to call the question. If I could have the screen unshared, I can see the council. Great, thank you. So I'm now going to call the question on whether we will consider third reading tonight. All those in favor and opposed? Council Arneson, Council Richter opposed, so that carries. So now I would require a motion from council for third reading. Council Long moves third reading. Council Whitmar seconds third reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor and opposed? Council Arneson, Council Richter opposed. Third reading carries. Thank you. Move on to public hearing C2. This is rezoning application number 100604, development permit applications number 101302 and 101226, Royale Properties Limited, bylaw 5757. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Your Worship. The subject rezoning and development permit applications pertain to a proposed 75-unit townhouse development at 7581 208 Street. The 5-acre site is designated multifamily in the Willoughby Community Plan and townhouse and mixed residential in the Yorkson Neighborhood Plan. This said photo depicts the site located on the southwest corner of 208 Street and 76th Avenue. Proposed rezoning bylaw 5757 amends the existing suburban residential 2 zoning to comprehensive development zone 168 in compliance with the provisions of the Yorkson Neighborhood Plan. Development permit 101226 pertains to the consolidation of watercourses on the westerly portion of the site, consistent with streamside protection enhancement area objectives. The slide indicates the proposed site plan with vehicular access to the site from proposed 207th Street. The next series of slides are renderings, elevations, and the landscape plan is indicated in development permit 101302. Staff recommends support of rezoning bylaw 5757, subject to 8 conditions and issuance of development permits 101226 and 101302, subject to 5 and 3 conditions respectively listed on page 6 of council's agenda. Your worship, a total of 434 notices were mailed out, 3 written submissions have been received, and there were no individuals noted on the speakers list.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, I would ask for any submissions from the public regarding public hearing C2, and that's bylaw 5757 and development permit 101302 and 101226. And for a second time, I request if there's any submissions from the public regarding public hearing C2, and for a third time, any submissions from the public regarding public hearing C2. Seeing none, I now close the public portion of the public hearing for C2, and would ask if the proponent wishes to respond to any of the written submissions that have been received. Okay, I don't see any response from the proponent, so with that, I will close the public hearing for C2 and ask if council would wish to consider third reading at this meeting. Council Whitmarsh moves it. Is there a seconder? Second by Council Ferguson. If I could have the screen back again, please. Thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor and opposed? Council Arneson, Council Richter opposed, so we can consider third reading. Could I have a motion for third reading? Councilor Ferguson moves it. Councilor Woodward seconds it. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor and opposed? Councilor Arneson, Councilor Richter opposed. The motion carries. Thank you. Move on to C3. This is official community plan amendment and rezoning application number 100152 and development permit applications number 100931 and bylaw number 5. Let's make sure. Oh, sorry, and development permit application number 101017, and this is on 84th Avenue and 86th Avenue. Bylaw 5739, bylaw 5740, bylaw 5754. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Your Worship. The subject Carville Neighborhood Plan Amendment, rezoning and development permit applications pertain to a development proposal consisting of two six-story buildings accommodating 220 rental apartment units and 20 townhouse units at 20239 84th Avenue and a southern portion of 20264 86th Avenue. The 4.6 acre site is designated Transit Village in the Willoughby Community Plan and high-density residential and townhouse residential in the Carville Neighborhood Plan. This air photo depicts the site located on the north side of 84th Avenue at 202 Street. Carville Neighborhood Plan Amendment Bylaw 5739 proposes to relocate the townhouse designated lands to the southeast portion of the site and designate the remainder of the site high-density residential, resulting in 24 additional apartment units. Rezoning Bylaw 5740 rezones the subject lands from Suburban Residential 2, SR2, to Comprehensive Development Zone 168 to accommodate the proposal. Housing Agreement Bylaw 5754 secures rental tenancy for the 220 proposed apartment units. This slide indicates the site plan illustrating the proposed apartment buildings on the northerly portion of the site, townhouses on the southeasterly portion of the site, and Pocket Park on the southwesterly portion of the site, with vehicular access to the site proposed from 85th Avenue and 202 B Street. The next series of slides are renderings, elevations, and the landscape plan as indicated in development permit 100931 and 101017. Staff recommends support of Carville Neighborhood Plan Amendment, rezoning and housing agreement bylaws 5739, 5740, 5754, subject to 13 conditions and issuance of development permits 100931 and 101017, subject to 2 conditions respectively listed on page 30 of Council's agenda. Your Worship, a total of 720 notices were mailed out. No written submissions have been received. There are 2 individuals noted on the speakers list. The first is Eugene O, and the second is Catherine Jiang.
Great, thank you very much. So at this time, I would ask for the first speaker to come forward. Speaker here or online, or what? What's the name again?
Eugene O, I believe, Your Worship.
Okay,
Last name O-H.
OH. Okay, so the next speaker on the list, name?
Catherine Jiang, Jeon.
Okay, not here. Catherine? No. Okay, so I'll now open it up if there are any submissions from the public regarding public hearing C3. And for a second time, submissions from the public regarding public hearing C3. And for a third time, submissions from the public regarding public hearing C3. Seeing none, and I'll close the public portion of public hearing C3. And as there are no written submissions and no speakers, there's no need for the proponent. I'll now close public hearing C3, and I'll ask if council wishes to proceed with third reading. There's a motion. Council Long moves it. Is there a seconder? No second? Okay, so then we will proceed with third reading tonight. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to terminate. Council Davis moves termination in his usual fashion, and Council Whitmer seconds termination in his usual fashion. I'm asking for a motion, or for the hands in favor. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Public hearing is now terminated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Froese.